Welcome to the Self-Realized podcast with Linton Bergson, where you will shatter your limits. I am not much into the self-help industry as much as I'm into the self-realized individual, which is you. What matters most to you, how you get there, and the obstacles that may be in your way. If you would like to be part of this podcast and part of that discussion, I welcome you here with an open heart, open mind, and open arms. So, without further ado, let's get on with the podcast. Welcome to the Self-Realized podcast, Shatter Your Limits. I am Linton Bergson, and this is episode 3, Listen to Your Inner Voice. And why is it important to listen to your inner voice? There are so many external voices that are working in your life and on your life day in, day out. But there is no voice like the inner voice. And the reason that there is no voice like that is because it's internal. It's not a human voice. It's not speaking to you going through the senses. It is an internal voice that bypasses the senses. It lives, breathes, and exists within you. It has nothing to do with you hearing something and then processing it through the brain and through the central nervous system and all the apparatus that we use for that external experience. The inner voice has no need for the senses. It is working directly internally with you in a very profound and sacred way. It is a divine gift, whether you call it God, divine, spiritual, whatever you want to call it, it doesn't matter. What happens in the self-realized individual is that the self-realized individual understands that something happens within them and realizes for themselves that it is a guiding voice giving them information that no one can. Because a human being cannot speak to you and give you information as the inner voice can, because that's coming from a place of feeling. And we all have it, we all know it, we all work with it. And acknowledging it and beginning to have it as a real tool, manifesting things in our life, transforms our life. And that transformation is like a butterfly coming out of a cocoon. It begins to become beautiful. It begins to look in a totally different way than we anticipated or expected. And we work with this ongoing and develop this. And as you begin to listen, you're going to meet people who will challenge what it is that you are hearing. You will meet people who will say to you, why are you doing that? Why do you believe that? Why would you want to follow that? And to explain to them that you have a feeling is fine, but they don't have to validate it. You have to validate it. Because a lot of times when you have these feelings that you want to follow, and you have this intuitive sense that's come up in you, and it may be against the status quo 95% of the time. Against what family members would suggest you do. It's against, a lot of times, what your friends would suggest you do. But if you go with what they suggest for you, and you go with what they think is best for you, you are now circumventing that which is guiding you at a much higher and powerful level. Do not circumvent that inner voice. Develop it. And I can't stress that enough. Because I know in my life that everything I have done has been from a sense of, well, it doesn't make a lot of sense. It doesn't make a lot of sense to people around me, but it makes sense to me. And if it makes sense to you, and you can work with that in yourself as a self-realized soul, as a person that's going out in this world with true self-expression, you're going to have the courage that everyone who's done something that has meant something not only to themselves but to the world, or made some differences, has had that self-realized state of, I'm following my own intuitive sense. If you look at the business world, spiritual world, you look at the entertainment world, 95% of them, if you did some research and look at some of the quotes from different individuals in those categories, they will all say at some point they followed some type of intuitive inner voice, inner guidance. I will give you 3 quotes here from the 3 areas I just mentioned. The first one is from Oprah Winfrey. Trust your instincts. Intuition doesn't lie. Learn to let intuition, gut instinct, tell you when the food, the relationship, the job isn't good for you, and conversely, when what you're doing is right. Jeff Bezos. All of my best decisions in business and in life have been made with heart, intuition, and guts, not analysis. Mahatma Gandhi, who was the leader of India's non-violent independent movement against British rule, everyone who wills can hear the voice. It is within everyone. But like everything else, it requires previous and definite preparation. They listened to this inner voice and followed that inner voice. It wasn't always the easiest route. It wasn't always the route that everybody agreed with, but it was the most fulfilling route for them. You don't have to be a Oprah Winfrey, Jeff Bezos, or Mahatma Gandhi. You have to follow your own unique voice and what that means to you. And it's a long-term commitment to follow that voice, because once you begin to follow it, you're going to have to problem solve along the way. And when you're problem solving following the inner voice, the intuitive voice, what happens is most of the time you can't always go to someone for an answer because you're doing something that it belongs to you. So by definition, it could be difficult to explain to them why you want to do A, B, C, or D. They may not have the answer. You're going to go back to yourself for the answer, because ultimately all answers lie within you. You may not be the most popular individual in town. That's not why you're here. But you are here to be you, and you are here to deliver to this world what you came to do. That is your sacred divine birthright. You need to own that and deliver it, because if you don't, a lot of what happens to us in our lives that create depression and anxiety and being unhappy is that we are not following what we are given to follow, which is, here's a purpose, here's something for you to do, here's where true fulfillment lies. And that is that inner intuitive voice speaking to you from the deepest place, because there is nothing and no one can give you that guidance except that which created you. However you want to form that opinion, however you want to come back to that point of zero where everything comes from, including you. It doesn't matter the words that you use. It matters that you acknowledge the fact there is a voice within you that is so strong that once you internalize for a moment and you listen to it, it will talk to you. And you can, unfortunately, lose your way, because once you start listening to it, there are going to be a lot of voices that come out and tell you the ideas that you have or where you want to go are not the best. But even if they told you they're not the best, you continue on, because that's what the self-realized individual does. They realize for themselves that where they're going and what they need to accomplish is for themselves. And they just continually keep improving the knowing of things that benefit themselves and others. And here's a differentiating fact. Self-realized individuals at the highest level are not just doing things that benefit themselves. Ultimately, they are following something that they have been given to do that is coming internally from within themselves. Secondly, more importantly, is that there's a great benefit also to humanity. Now, we have individuals who do things, they follow themselves, but it's not really for the benefit of humanity, it's for the benefit of themselves. I'm not talking about the narcissistic individual that will follow anything to the end for their own gain at the expense of everyone else. No, the self-realized individual is a different individual. The self-realized individual realizes that they have something that they would like to do, and they are going to do this because it's been guided within them. But also along with that, there is benefit to others. We all have to earn a living. We all have to live in this world from a practical sense. So you're not giving up yourself for anyone else. You're giving up yourself to your purpose and to your destination. But involved in that along the way is the benefit of others to a high degree. That is a self-realized individual, not the narcissistic individual who just follows things to their own end, no matter who they tread on and whose head they have to stand on to look taller. So you look at this from the perspective of all the benefits that it's bringing you, ongoing, every day in your life. And this internal inner voice is a combination of feeling, in my experience, along with an articulation and expression of what it's actually saying to you to others. And once you have this combination working, what happens is that this is bypassing the senses. It's bypassing the normal apparatus that we normally seek advice from. which is the senses, which is people speaking to us and we're hearing it through our ears and going through our brain and running it through our subconscious. And all of this noise, this background noise, is continually going on to decipher the information that we're hearing from the external forces. It's very problematic because you can get at serious odds with yourself and your self-talk, which is a whole different podcast, and what's going on there. This intuitive voice, it has no human element. It is not using the senses. The intuition, the intuitive voice, the voice within ourselves has no connection to the senses. It is by itself sitting quietly in all of us. And it's saving us time and it's saving us energy. And it's giving us the ability to live our lives at a level that most people cannot imagine. We've all been in a situation where we've sat with someone that we may think is a prospective date or relationship. We've all been in a situation where we've gone to job interviews where we've sat there and we've thought to ourselves, in both cases, this doesn't feel right. And for whatever reason, monetary reasons, we take the job, fear of being alone, we take the relationship, neither one works out. And they're two big areas of our life. And we've spent 6 months, 6 years in this area when we could have probably gone on from there, not got involved in either one, saved all that time and energy, moved into something that was much more beneficial for us. However, when this voice talks to us, it's suggesting to us, not always in a logical way, walk away. First thing that happens to us at that point, all of us, is, how am I going to manage? I have A, B, C, and D to pay. I have a situation where I haven't been in a relationship a long time. I really want to be alone. I'm getting older. Whatever the reasons we spin in our own mind. But they are limitations that have come to you to stop you from going from where you need to be. And if you look at the self-realized individual, they're shattering their limits, and that's who you are. You're shattering your limits because you understand that as long as I live in a limited space and only see things in a box, I can't expand, because life is not a box. It's an expansion of awareness. And if you step into this area of, okay, I'm going to trust this inner voice, this inner awareness, this intuitive sense, and you have the courage to do that, because it does take courage, and you begin to do it in a small way to begin with. You don't have to do it in a big way. You can do it in a small way. You can just listen to it in the small things of your life, like maybe you can take a right turn, you don't take that right turn, you find out down the road there was a problem, an accident, something happened. It saved you time and energy again because you decided to take a different route. You start there. You begin small to trust this voice, trust this voice, trust this voice. And then it builds. It's like going to the gym. The more you use a muscle, the bigger and stronger it gets. But when you first start, it gets real sore. It's real difficult. You question yourself, why am I doing this to myself? And then after a while, you begin to see the benefits. And the benefits, if you continue to work with the trainer and you and build on it, become exponentially greater. That's the same with anything. The intuition is a muscle. You use the muscle, it gets stronger. And then you find that you can lift things you couldn't lift before. You can do things you couldn't do before. You're walking faster than you did before. You've lost weight. Now you begin to feel good about yourself. It's the same thing with intuition. But it requires the same dedication to it. And you wouldn't start lifting 50 pounds when you went to the gym. You may start with 10, 15, 20, depending on where you are in your life and what you want to accomplish, how fast you want to get there. You have a whole series of parameters that you've looked at, I would imagine, or thought about before you went to the gym. If not, you decide when you're there. But it's the same with intuition. You decide you're going to go to the gym. You decide you're going to begin to use the intuition. And that's the first step. Everything starts with an experiment, and the willingness to experiment, to go further than any other individual would go with running that for yourself. You have to know where you want to take this. You want to shatter your own limits. It's like the butterfly. You're going to go through a transformation, and you're going to come out and be this beautiful butterfly coming out of the cocoon that's spreading its wings, shattering its limits so the world can see. That's what we are designed to do. We are not meant to be crawling around the cocoon forever. We have to come out and we have to fly. We have to be around people so they can understand our own beauty and our own elegance in this world. And listening to your intuitive voice and understanding that is the key to opening that door. In order to activate the intuitive voice and your intuitive self, it doesn't take much. It's going to talk to you in the language of your heart. And it's a beautiful conversation. It's going to let you know, in no uncertain terms, how beautiful you are, how precious you are, and how much it is trying to protect you and guide you and relieve you from fear and anxiety, and there's nothing for you to worry about. Just listen to it. It says to you quietly, listen to me, not to the world. I'm taking you somewhere that's special for you. And that inner voice, that inner intuitive voice, can only tell you what that is because your relationship between yourself and that voice is basically your relationship with creation. However you want to term it, it doesn't matter. You are unique. Something made you and I beyond our own conception of what that may be in a human term that is working with us. Acknowledge it. You are a self-realized, precious individual, and that is what the intuitive voice is trying to let you know. Listen to me. Follow me. And sooner or later, we all go down that road that we either begin to listen to ourselves and we make what's important to ourselves. Not always that which is the external measure of anything. It's the internal measure. And the internal measure comes from that constant relationship. So cultivate it. Make it a predominant force in your life. Essentially, to activate this voice, waiting for you to invite it into your life. Again, unlike most external interactions we have, a lot of them can be uninvited. It steps quietly into your being, activating the cells of your body and your mind in a very profound way once you establish it in a very deep way. And there's a requirement. It's very simple. It doesn't take much. Just spend some time, 2 minutes, 1 minute, 5 minutes, whatever you have, wherever you can find it, for a moment of still, quiet introspection. It's going to take time. Don't lose your patience. And say quietly, talk to me. Like you would a friend, like you would a real dear friend. Talk to me. In that moment, roll different questions over and over that you would like answers to in your life, in your business, maybe for your health. And I guarantee that something will begin to happen to you. If you persist with that talk to me and you mean it sincerely, you're going to activate something in you that you have never experienced before that will give you specific and clear guidance. And my hope, and I like to use the acronym for hope that I came up with quite some time ago, having optimistic, positive expectation, my hope is that you will begin to do this today, immediately, this transformation, this ownership of self, moves into this strong self-realized state that will allow you to unfold and have a life that is extraordinary in so many ways, and living it from the place of strength and inner power, because you know where your true source of communication comes from. I sincerely appreciate you listening to the podcast. Please subscribe so you do not miss any upcoming episodes. Whatever platform you're on, please leave a rating and review. I would greatly appreciate it. Any additional information on me, Linton Bergson, and my 5-star reviewed book, Purposeful Vision, is available at selfrealized.com, which is all one word. You can also leave any comments or suggestions on the website. I look forward to connecting with you very soon, and take good care of yourself.